books is life. I'm cooking the books for some of the scariest people on the planet. Drug cartels, arms brokers, money launderers, assassins. Who survives this kind of clientele? Imagine the secrets this guy has.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2016 action thriller The Accountant. The film is directed by Gavin O'Connor and it stars Ben Affleck, Anna Kendrick, J.K. Simmons, John Bernthal, Jeffrey Tambor and John Lithgow. Right, the film focuses on Ben Affleck's character Christian Wolf. We learned that his character essentially has autism. He's got high functioning. Is on the spectrum and is quite high functioning in regards to autism. His parents initially, when he's a child, take him to like a specialist centre that, you know, helps children with autism. His father's in the military and he basically rejects this help. He believes there's a better way of raising his son. He's got a brother. Ben Affleck's character has got a brother who they kind of grow up together on the road with their dad as he goes from base to base, and his dad basically pushes him very, very hard in order to try and get him to put his own coping mechanisms in place so he can live as normal a life as possible. The film jumps forward where he's an adult and he is now an accountant, is Christian Wolf, Ben Affleck. He is obviously very, very skilled in this area because of his autism. He's great with numbers, all this kind of stuff. But also because of his other skills that he had thanks to his dad and his own time in the military, he's also a very, very skilled assassin, and he puts that to good use. He basically uses his time to take down the worst of the worst by using his own skill set. Right, what are my thoughts on The Accountant? Well, this is a first-time watch for me. It's a film it's one of those that's been on my watch list or my radar ever since it came out. I liked the sound of this when it came out. It's just one of those that I just never ever got round to seeing. But I know that The Accountant 2 is due to come out, I think, this month in the UK, or certainly very soon. So I thought, well, you know, it's warranted a sequel, so it can't be half bad. So I thought I would definitely check it out. So obviously I've seen it now for this review. And I have to say, overall, I had a pretty good time with this film. I thought it was well made with a very, very interesting premise, with a very, very good central performance by Ben Affleck. I don't think sometimes he gets the credit he deserves, Ben Affleck. You know, I think he's actually a very gifted director and actor, and if you've seen him in the right vehicles, the right movies, you know that to be the case. I think people now will just think of him as Batman and that kind of stuff, which I think is unfair and unkind. He gives a very, very good performance here, I feel, and that's coming from somebody who I've worked in the care sector all my professional life, pretty much. I've worked with and supported with many, many people with autism at different places on the spectrum, you could say. So he gives a solid performance here. And while the film, I feel, I think it kind of takes a little bit too long to get going for my liking. And there's some convoluted stuff in here that I don't think the film does a particularly good job of explaining itself at times. I had a ball with this. And I'm not going to spoil things in case you haven't seen it, but I enjoyed the dynamic and the interesting arcs between both Ben Affleck's character and John Bernthal's character. How they're on different arcs and they're destined to kind of, you know, meet in the middle sort of thing. And I liked how that concluded. It concluded the way I thought it was going to conclude, so I was happy with the outcome. So I thought that was, for me, a very, very successful conclusion to the film. The scenes with J.K. Simmons and I think it's Cynthia Robinson, something like that, the actress that is with him. He kind of recruits her. He's like this high-ranking, I think it's an FBI agent, and he is recruiting her to essentially take over from him when he kind of gives up the ghost, I suppose. But he has spent much of his career, if you like, on the path of Ben Affleck, this accountant. And his reasons for doing that do get explained in the film. But this is one of those kind of convoluted areas where I think it kind of poorly explains itself a little bit. As well as his Ben Affleck's reasons for, I suppose, doing what he does. You know, he's a very skilled accountant, all that kind of stuff, but he's also a very skilled killer and assassin. And how it kind of explains that away takes a little bit of a stretch, I think, of believability. But, you know, these kind of films, you can allow yourself to do that for the most part. And so these are fairly minor criticisms here, but it just felt to me at times it was trying to convolute the story a little bit, and I don't necessarily think it needed it. I thought the action scenes here were done expertly well when we get them. It's not one of those, it's not like a John Wick film or anything. It's not action every few minutes. It takes its time. It bubbles away for quite a while, and then when you start getting the action, it starts coming a bit more thick and fast, if you like. And I did enjoy the action that we got here for the most part, and I thought the majority of the side actors here that make an appearance in this film do a very good job. I was a little disappointed we didn't get more from John Lithgow. Every time he's in a film, I'm always looking forward to seeing him and his performance, and I felt he didn't get enough to do in this, and what he did get to do was quite vanilla, again, if that makes sense. So I thought this was a pretty slick film with, you know, a strong central performance by Affleck. And it's definitely piqued my interest for checking out the second one, because I do think this one ends in such a way where it can kind of cleanly move into a sequel, even though I suspect when this first came out, they weren't thinking about a sequel. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I don't know that much about the film, to be fair. But yeah, it's a well-made action thriller, this, with some, like I say, questionable, convoluted stuff. I wasn't overly keen on Anna Kendrick's character, I will say. I've never really been overly convinced by her as an actress, and I didn't feel there was a great deal of chemistry between her and Ben Affleck. I just didn't buy the dynamic between the two of them. The film almost hinted at a romantic relationship, and thank goodness, really, they didn't really explore that. I think it would have been fairly cringeworthy, I would suggest. You know, to give this guy who lives a very, very complex and orderly life, you know, that kind of chaos, it would have probably betrayed who his character was, sort of thing. So thankfully they didn't go there. So, I had a good time with this. I will definitely watch the sequel. I think this could have been a little bit simpler, a bit simplified, and I do think they could have beefed up some of the other character work in here. But beyond that, even though it had a slow start, it definitely held my interest throughout, so I'm definitely glad I checked it out. So let me know your thoughts on this film, and are you going to see the sequel when that comes out? And of course, I'll be back with plenty more content on the channel.